She was once Hong Kong's golden goddess, a face everyone adored, a voice that could silence a room. But when Yammie Nam was found dead in her apartment, decomposed and alone, the city that once worshipped her suddenly had no answers. No one knew when she died. No one explained how. And no one wanted to talk about what she revealed before her final days. A secret that shook Hong Kong's entertainment world to its core. Her story is more than a fall from fame. It's a haunting mystery buried beneath power, silence, and fear. Was her death an accident, or was she silenced for what she knew? Tonight, we dive deep into the tragedy that Hong Kong tried to forget. The rise, ruin, and chilling end of Yammie Nam. Subscribe to Criminal Tracks for more untold stories behind fame, power, and the secrets that never die. In the late 1980s, few names shone brighter in Hong Kong than Yammie Nam. She was the kind of actress who could walk into a room and make everything else fade. Her beauty was luminous, but it was her presence that set her apart. Calm yet magnetic, vulnerable yet defiant. She had the face of a goddess and the kind of voice that made every line feel like poetry. For nearly a decade, she was one of TVB's brightest stars, a household name who helped define an era of Hong Kong television. People adored her not just for her looks, but for the rare sense of depth she brought to every role. When she played Spider Spirit in Journey to the West, or the fiery sister in Looking Back in Anger, she didn't just act, she lived those roles. Critics hailed her as one of the most promising actresses of her generation. It seemed as though nothing could dim her light. But behind the cameras, Yammie's world was beginning to fracture. At first, it started with whispers, missed shoots, sudden mood swings, unexplained absences. Producers noticed her becoming withdrawn, often staring into space between takes. Her close friends said she was deeply sensitive, often carrying the emotions of her characters long after filming ended. When the pressure of fame collided with the unforgiving pace of Hong Kong's entertainment industry, her mental health began to deteriorate. By the mid-1990s, she had reportedly suffered a severe emotional breakdown. Instead of support, she faced gossip. In an industry that prized perfection, vulnerability was treated like a stain. As her illness deepened, Yammie found herself in and out of hospitals. She was diagnosed with depression and schizophrenia, but little was done to help her reintegrate into normal life. Her career offers dried up. Her once loyal colleagues distanced themselves. The same tabloids that had celebrated her beauty now hounded her for photos in moments of distress. They published cruel headlines mocking her appearance, calling her unstable, saying she had gone crazy. For an actress who once embodied elegance and grace, these words cut deeply. The world that once applauded her now turned its back. Over the next decade, Yammie's life became a portrait of decline. She lost her savings, possibly through bad financial decisions or betrayal by people she trusted. Some said she had been cheated out of her fortune. Others claimed she had simply stopped caring about money. Whatever the truth, she ended up living alone in a small apartment in Stanley, one of Hong Kong's quieter districts near the sea. She rarely went out. Neighbors described seeing her wandering the streets late at night, dressed plainly, muttering to herself. They said she seemed lost, sometimes talking to invisible people, sometimes staring at the sky. The same hands that once held scripts were now clutching grocery bags from the local market. Despite her fragile state, a few people tried to help. Social workers checked in from time to time. A handful of old friends occasionally brought food or tried to get her back into acting. But Yammie often refused help. She said she no longer trusted anyone. Her door was usually locked, and visitors said she rarely opened it. One neighbor recalled that she spoke of demons following her. Whether she meant real people or the ghosts of her past, no one could tell. What was clear was that she was haunted by something she couldn't escape. As the years went by, the entertainment press continued to exploit her downfall. Photos of her disheveled and barefoot became tabloid fodder. Online commenters, detached from the human tragedy behind the headlines, called her names. They forgot that this was the same woman who had once captured their hearts. The industry that had made her famous now watched her crumble in silence. A few colleagues would later admit they avoided her because they didn't know what to say or how to help. Mental illness remained a taboo subject, and few wanted to be associated with someone seen as unstable. For Yammie, every day became a quiet struggle. She lived mostly on government assistance, surviving on the bare minimum. The bright lights of the studio were long gone. Her apartment became her world, a small, cluttered space filled with old scripts, faded photos, and memories of a life that had slipped away. Sometimes she would stand at her window, watching the sea. A few neighbors said she seemed calmer in those moments, almost peaceful. Other times, they heard her shouting or crying when no one was there. It's said that even in her most difficult years, her eyes still carried the same sadness that once made audiences fall in love with her. They were eyes that remembered too much: the applause, the betrayal, the loneliness. People around her said she could never let go of what had been taken from her. Fame had turned her into an icon, but it had also trapped her in a cage she could never escape. By the time she reached her 50s, Yammie Nam had become a ghost of her former self. The glamorous actress who once lit up every screen was now almost invisible to the world. Only a few loyal fans remembered her birthdays. Strangers who met her on the street sometimes didn't even realize who she was. Yet, despite everything, there were still flashes of the woman she used to be. Polite, thoughtful, and kind in brief encounters. One neighbor said that even when she was clearly unwell, she would still say thank you when someone offered her food. Her decline wasn't a sudden fall. It was a slow, painful erosion. The industry that once celebrated her watched from a distance as she faded away. It was as though the entire city had moved on, leaving her trapped in the shadows of her past. In her final years, Yammie's life was defined by silence. No more interviews, no more film sets, no more crowds. Just the sound of the sea outside her window and the echo of what once was. Behind that silence, however, something darker was waiting. A truth she would later reveal to the world, one that would shake Hong Kong's entertainment industry to its core and cast new light on why her once glorious life had been consumed by tragedy. In 2013, when most of Hong Kong had already forgotten about her, Yammie Nam appeared in a quiet, unsettling video that changed everything. Sitting in a small room, her face thin and tired, she began to speak about her past. It wasn't the glamorous actress the public once knew. It was a woman, broken, trembling, but determined to finally be heard. Through tears, she said she had been raped, twice, by two men she described as powerful and untouchable in the entertainment world. She didn't name them directly, but the way she spoke left little doubt that they were well-known figures. Her words were haunting. She said that what they did to her destroyed her life, that the trauma never left, and that no one believed her. The interview was recorded by actress Elaine Ng, who had tried to help her. When the video was shown to certain media outlets, most refused to air it, saying it was too dangerous. Some parts were cut, some tapes simply disappeared. At the time, the story barely made headlines. Hong Kong's entertainment world was still a fortress of silence, and defamation laws made it nearly impossible to publish such claims without evidence. But in private circles, people whispered. They said she had named a famous actor, someone beloved by the public, someone who had the power to end careers with a phone call. They said another man was a well-connected figure from the mainland, known for his influence in both film and politics. Whether those names were true or not, no one dared to print them. Yammie's words became like a ghost story, something everyone in the industry had heard, but no one wanted to repeat. For Yammie, that confession was both an act of courage and a final cry for help. It was as if she had spent years holding back something unbearable and finally let it out, only to realize that the world still didn't care. Some people called her delusional, others pitied her. Few believed her completely. Yet even those who doubted her couldn't ignore the way she spoke. The way her voice shook when she said that after the assaults, she could never be whole again. The years that followed were quiet on the surface, but that silence was deceptive. Inside the Hong Kong entertainment industry, Yammie's words began to spread again. People started comparing her breakdown to others who had mysteriously disappeared or fallen into ruin after crossing certain figures. Old stories resurfaced about producers who used their power to exploit actresses, about the dark, unspoken exchanges that had shaped the careers of many stars. Her case became a symbol of everything that people feared but could never say publicly. Then, in 2018, the video resurfaced online. A longer version appeared on the internet, this time subtitled and shared across Chinese social media. It reignited interest in Yammie Nam and her story, especially because the hashtag #MeToo movement was gaining global attention at the time. For the first time in years, her voice was being heard again, not as a fallen actress, but as a woman who had been silenced. The public reaction was immediate and explosive. Viewers demanded justice. Netizens began piecing together clues about who her attackers might be. Within days, her story went viral across Hong Kong and the mainland. One name began appearing again and again: Eric Tsang, one of Hong Kong's most recognizable actors and television hosts, known for his cheerful personality and deep connections in the industry. He was accused online of being one of the men Yammie had spoken about. The allegations were never proven, and Tsang immediately denied them, calling the rumors lies meant to destroy his reputation. He filed legal actions against media outlets and individuals who repeated the accusation. Many of those posts vanished quickly after that. But once the public had heard Yammie's story, it couldn't be unheard. Whether people believed it or not, they felt something ugly had been exposed, something that went beyond one man or one incident. As the controversy grew, others in the industry started to speak indirectly. Some hinted that Yammie's words had truth behind them. Others said the entertainment world was built on secrets and silence, and that powerful people were protected no matter what they did. Rumors of organized cover-ups swirled, suggesting that evidence of abuse and corruption had been buried for decades. There were even claims that certain actresses had been paid or threatened to stay quiet. No one could confirm any of it, but the fear was real. Yammie herself never commented further after that video. She didn't grant interviews, and she didn't seek attention. Some friends said she regretted speaking out because it brought her more pain. Others said she was proud she had finally told the truth. Either way, her re-emergence had cost her. She was once again under public scrutiny, but this time not as a celebrity, as a survivor whose story people debated instead of believed. The darker theories began forming around this time. Some believed Yammie had been targeted after the video spread. There were whispers that she had received warnings to stay quiet. Others said she had been under watch by people who wanted to know if she still had any evidence. None of this was ever proven, but it added fuel to the growing belief that her life had been controlled by invisible forces. The same ones she had hinted at years earlier when she said, "They destroyed me, and no one will stop them." To the public, Yammie Nam's confession was more than just a personal tragedy. It became a reflection of the rot underneath Hong Kong's entertainment empire. It forced people to confront questions they had avoided for decades. How many stars had been silenced? How much pain had been hidden behind glamour? And how many careers had been crushed to protect powerful men? Her story inspired others to speak up, but it also terrified many who had seen what happened to her. By the time 2018 arrived, Yammie was once again alone in her small apartment. The viral wave of attention had come and gone. The legal threats, the gossip, and the renewed scrutiny left her even more isolated. Yet something in the air had changed. Her words had broken the illusion that the entertainment industry was untouchable. Her story had become a warning, a wound that the city could no longer ignore. But before anyone could ask her more, before she could clarify what really happened or name her abusers publicly, she would be found dead. And that, for many, was the most chilling part. that just when she had finally spoken her truth, her voice was silenced forever. On the morning of November 3rd, 2018, police officers entered a small apartment in Stanley after receiving a report from a friend who hadn't heard from Yammie Nam in several days. The door was locked from the inside. When they broke it open, the smell hit first. Inside, the former star was lying on the bathroom floor, motionless, her body already beginning to decompose. Investigators estimated she had been dead for 2 or 3 days. There were no signs of a struggle, no forced entry, no visible wounds. To the police, it looked like another case of a lonely person passing away in silence. But to those who remembered her story, it felt like something far darker. The official line came quickly. Authorities declared there was no evidence of foul play. Local media reported that she had likely died of natural causes, possibly a stroke or heart failure. No clear medical report was ever released to the public. Her body was cremated soon after, and the case was quietly closed. Yet the timing couldn't have been more suspicious. Just months earlier, her sexual assault allegations had resurfaced online, reigniting public outrage and implicating some of the most powerful men in Hong Kong's entertainment industry. To her supporters, it seemed too coincidental that she died alone, right after the old accusations returned to the spotlight. The silence around her death only fueled speculation. Some believed she had been silenced, that someone wanted her gone before she could speak again. Others suspected she might have taken her own life after years of trauma and neglect. Another theory suggested she had suffered a sudden medical emergency and no one came to help. But what stood out most was how quickly the story disappeared from the news. There were no major investigations, no official statements from the accused, no follow-up reports. For an actress once adored by millions, her death passed like a whisper. Even her funeral reflected the emptiness of her final years. Only a handful of people attended. Most of her former colleagues stayed away. Some said they were too busy. Others said they didn't want to draw attention to the controversy. The woman who once symbolized the golden age of Hong Kong television left this world almost unnoticed. The city that had once celebrated her beauty and talent now buried her with silence. A few fans gathered outside the crematorium, holding flowers and handwritten notes, calling her a victim of both fame and fear. They cried not only for her death, but for what it represented. A life destroyed by secrets the world refused to face. Online, however, her story refused to die. Social media lit up with anger and grief. People questioned the circumstances of her death, pointing to the lack of transparency and the history of cover-ups in Hong Kong's entertainment world. Threads spread across forums suggesting she had been pressured, monitored, or even threatened in the months before her death. Some users claimed to have seen people visiting her apartment before she disappeared from view. None of these claims were confirmed, but the mystery deepened with every retelling. In a place where truth often hid behind contracts and connections, rumors became the only justice people could believe in. In the weeks following her death, journalists tried to piece together her final days. Neighbors said they hadn't seen her much, that she seemed quieter than usual, and that she often kept her curtains closed. One remembered hearing a loud sound from her apartment a few nights before police arrived. Another said she looked pale and weak when she went out to buy food. These small details became fragments of a puzzle no one could solve. Whether her death was an accident, a cry for help, or something more sinister remained unanswered. Over time, Yammie Nam's name became a symbol, not just of tragedy, but of how an entire industry could destroy its own. Her death exposed the loneliness behind the glamour, the cost of silence in a world built on power and control. People began to revisit the interview she gave, analyzing every word, every pause, as if she had left clues behind. Activists called for renewed attention to her allegations, but nothing came of it. There was no inquiry, no justice, no apology. The entertainment world moved on, and yet her story lingers. Years later, her name still appears in discussions about the dark side of Hong Kong cinema. She is remembered as the actress who tried to speak out and paid the price. Her image, the once radiant goddess turned fragile recluse, became an unspoken reminder of what happens when victims are ignored. Those who believe her say she was not simply a casualty of time or illness, but of a culture that chose silence over truth. In the end, no one can say for sure what really happened in that quiet apartment by the sea. The reports say natural causes. Her supporters say cover-up. What everyone agrees on is that her death was the final act of a life filled with suffering, courage, and unanswered questions. Even now, when her name surfaces online, it brings back a wave of sorrow and anger. To many, Yammie Nam was more than a fallen star. She was a warning, a reminder that fame without protection can become a prison, and that sometimes the truth dies quietly long before the person does. In the end, Yammie Nam's death was written off as natural, but her story refuses to rest. The silence that followed her passing speaks louder than any autopsy could. She was a woman destroyed by a system that thrives on control and erased the moment she spoke up. Whether she died by fate or by design, one truth remains. She never stopped being dangerous to those who feared her voice. To uncover more stories they tried to bury. Subscribe now to Criminal Tracks, where every forgotten secret finds its way back into the light.